Hello, what's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel. Coming in with a quick video. I don't know why I always say quick. You guys actually know that I'm very rarely ever quick. But I really missed you guys and wanted to talk to you about what's been going on with me and what I'm seeing in the headlines. Just kind of download, if you will, and have a conversation with you all about the state of, everything right now. With today is June 9th. It is primary voting here in Georgia and probably about 5 or 6 other states. I was fortunate enough to have the presence of mind to go and vote early. So I voted second day of early voter registration, which I'm super grateful I did. I have done early voting. I've done early voting. I mean, for as long as they've offered it now, I would say well over 10 years. It feels like I've done early voting. It just fits with my lifestyle. I'm an early riser. I get things done early. Things that I really want to do, I prefer to go ahead and knock them out. And so to hear today how everyone is having such a hard time voting, how long the lines are. Well, if you remember back in the day, voting lines were always long. Excuse me. So honestly, that doesn't bother me. The long lines, the fact that the machines aren't working, the fact that you can no longer see whether the person that you're voting for is Democratic or Republican. You can see if they're an incumbent or not, but so if you didn't go to the voting poll with your list of names and persons, I had seen one printed out, either on Twitter or Instagram, and or posted, and I printed it out for myself and just double checked each candidate, read up a little bit on each candidate, and I knew who I wanted to vote for. And so I was able to take that list in. You know, it's unfortunate. It's apparent that, in light of in light of everything else, now we are openly stealing votes. I think that votes have been suppressed for a few years now in one way or another, whether it was, what do they call that? It's not redlining, where they sort of move the districts around a little bit to expand certain districts or make other districts small, moving voters' polls, dropping names off the rolls. Just all types of little things have always happened. But we're seeing sort of a culmination of that right now, where it is another straw on the back of the camel, and the camel's back is, his knees are buckled. His ankles are quivering and sweating. I mean, he's going down any second now. I mean, the state of the world that we're in, like, your vote means nothing. And I mean, I voted early. I'm still concerned about my vote. I have no idea what happened when I put my paper in that giant, what looked like a trash bin. I have no idea. I got my sticker and I moved on. I still have no idea if my vote will count. I still have no idea if my vote will count. I wouldn't know if they rejected it. I wouldn't know if it was put in file 13. I wouldn't know if it was kicked up under the rug somewhere. I mean, I don't have any idea. I hope my vote counted. Even though I voted early, I didn't stand in any lines. I felt like I was prepared. I'm still nervous because they are doing it by any means necessary. And like with many things, they are brazen. I mean, why rob the bank when you can steal an entire election? You know? And in stealing that election, you are stealing tax dollars. You are reinforcing some of these laws that we have out here now, or lack thereof, because I don't know if you guys have heard, but Georgia doesn't have a hate crime law. Now, that's very shocking given the fact that we just had all of this outrage over Ahmaud Arbery, who in Brunswick, Georgia, was shot dead in the street, murdered by two racists. So it can be pursued on a federal level, but as far as Georgia is concerned, there's no hate crime law. Like, how has that gotten away from the Stacey Abrams, the Keisha Lance Bottoms, the John Lewis, these people who are Ambassador Young, who are high up, who have pushed for candidates who are the creme de la creme. You know, Stacey Abrams is nothing to snub your nose at. Her election against Brian Kemp was just flat out stolen. But still, where's the work? Where's the work? We don't see it in infrastructure. We're not seeing it in our roads. I'm sorry. I drive on these roads every day. We're not seeing it there. We're not seeing it in our taxes. Not us, not the middle class, not the workhorse of the engine. I mean, if you're upper middle class, rich, upper echelon, yeah, you're seeing some serious tax breaks, some serious tax perks. But we're not getting anything for our money. You know, my mom has a saying, I won't pay and beg. You know, well, we're paying and begging, not just for laws that benefit ourselves, our own persons, our own finances, our own communities, not just for better policing, reform in policing, even though we are being brutally murdered in the street in a huge number. I mean, George Floyd is the face of this thing. He's a good face to have because the video of his death, and we're going to talk about that, obviously went viral. If you haven't seen it by now, you have been under a rock, and you know, you might as well go back and lay down. Might as well go back under that rock and take a nap. Continue napping. I mean, you're so far behind by now, you will never catch up. So, yeah, you know, we're seeing it in lack of police reform. We're definitely seeing it in terms of climate and temperature. I mean, I've seen a ton of people get called out. I've seen some people come out and they're like a small little baby fart in the wind. Like, what they say is so minimal, so in between, you know, fence straddled, you know, lukewarm, just you know, saying much of nothing at all. And you guys, I'm sure, have heard about Terry Crews and some of the things that he said. I mean, 20 years from now, if someone pulls up a tweet or looks for a tweet of what he said during this time, it would be better for them to find nothing than to find his response to everything that is going on now about social injustice, racial injustice, police violence against citizens, white supremacy. Like, it would be better if you could find nothing than to find what he did actually put out there. Like, you know, but people feel pressure to speak out. It doesn't matter. I hear I'm sorry a lot now. I'm sorry is like okay, or or like, you know, it's the same thing. It's what's the word I'm looking for? it's a panacea. It has no potency whatsoever. You can say you're sorry. You don't have to mean it. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that the average person on social media has a short attention span. What they weren't expecting, I think, is just how um, polarizing George Floyd's death would be, which would probably explain why we have the George Floyd funeral tour. I think they had a funeral in Minneapolis and Houston. I think North Carolina is having a funeral for him as well. I don't know if the body's traveling in all those places. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I guess it's allowing people to have closure, to have some sort of connection. I want connection to the fight. I want connection to the outrage. I don't want to lose that. I think it's okay to go ahead and bury his body at this point. I've heard a lot of disparaging things about George Floyd's um, attorney Crump, and I think Merritt. Merritt is not, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that he's a part of Floyd's case, but he's definitely a part of Ahmaud Arbery's case. I don't know if he's connected with Crump from a legal standpoint, if they're a part of the same firm, or I'm not really sure, but I've heard a lot of disparaging things about them. I don't buy into any of that. I don't care. I don't care about George Floyd's past. I don't care if he was a criminal. I don't care if Ahmaud Arbery had some run-in with the law when he was in high school. I'm sick of us going back and digging up the past as if somehow it will justify the death of an individual. Now, I will take you back a little bit since we haven't spoken in a while, and just tell you how I felt about. At first, I connected with the Ahmaud Arbery story at first, and no one was really talking about it. I had seen it on I can't think of the cat's name. Is on YouTube. He's an alpha. He's kind of demonstrative, you have to be careful with him because he'll overtalk you. But anyway, I saw the story there. I was so shocked. I was so outraged. One, Brunswick is right down the road here. Like, it's not, I mean, it may be an hour and a half from where I am, maybe 2 hours. I went to school in Fort Valley, and it's all right around there together. I think Brunswick, Georgia is the home of Brunswick stew, if I'm not mistaken. I think we used to go to the festival in Perry, Georgia down there. So, this familiar. It's close to home, right? The story is. And then I see he's jogging and he gets killed. This is before any video came out, any of that. And Merritt, who was, at that time, the face of Ahmaud Arbery's situation. So he so eloquently spoke to the reporter about what happened, about the fact that the home that he was accused of burglarizing had no doors, and you can't burglarize a dwelling with no doors, no windows, that type of thing. And wow, it was just so impactful. Again, at that time, I didn't have video, but I began tweeting and retweeting and just talking about it, and dropping the hashtag, and following threads and just talking about it. I just had a bee in my bonnet about it. And I do this a lot, and I've just learned how to compartmentalize so that I don't come off as like a raving lunatic, because I can be very, very passionate. about something, and some things. And so I was just outraged. I was just outraged that this man had been shot in the street, and the people that shot him weren't police officers. The father had some background in law enforcement, but he wasn't a current police officer. He was retired. His son, we still don't know what he does for a living, although we can drag Ahmaud Arbery's past history. We're even judging his daily run, the path that he took to run. Like, maybe the dude was thinking about building a house. Maybe the dude wanted to buy the house. Maybe the dude wanted to live in the neighborhood. Unbeknownst to him, he was going to be surrounded by racists. But it teed me off that at that moment, knowing as little as we did, no one was giving him the benefit of the doubt. It was just okay. Like, it was just another day that he was shot dead in the street, and they were allowed to go home, and no one was investigating it. And at this time, it had been passed off in word of mouth. It had been passed off to another DA's office, because a judge passed it off, and then the DA passed it off. So two people passed it off to a third person. And this was right around the time that Brian Kemp, governor of Georgia, was trying to open up. And everybody was outraged about barbershops and beauty salons and nail salons being able to open up. So not sure why it was okay for them to open up, but public office, especially when it comes to the loss of life, you would think that's something that would motivate people and move people to get back to work, to continue to investigate and continue to do their job as safely as possible, even in the midst of a pandemic. Like, we all taking breaks? Really? Okay, doctors, everybody's just gonna stay home because of corona? No, it's people that have to, essential workers. And I'm sorry, investigating a crime is, to me, essential work, but what do I know? And then so it was just dormant. That dormancy where it just sat on someone's desk and or allegedly and was going nowhere and nobody was talking about it. It teed me off. It teed me off. It really did, and then it took some momentum. I mean, it probably took a good 5 to 6 days before I looked around and it was just pretty much everywhere. Well, there was video, and I still have never watched the Philando Castile video. I heard enough of the audio to where I thought I was going to pass out. Like, the anxiety and the panic that I felt listening to the audio, I just have never, ever forgotten that. Just never forgotten the sound of his fiance's voice and the child. It's just, it's something that just changed me. But, I forced myself to start watching these things all the way through. And anybody knows me knows I am a person that notices a lot in a very small frame of time. Most people walk in a room and they look at all of the obvious things. I am the personality that I look at all of the little things people don't pay attention to, for some reason catches my eye. And so another reason why I don't really like to watch these videos. But again, it must be done. It must be done in order to continue to stoke the fires of outrage and protests and the cries for reform. We must watch. We must watch and go from there. And so I see the video where he's running, and the truck that he's being videoed from is sort of just behind him on the right side. And I'm regurgitating this all from memory. I've seen it several times, and I can watch it once full on, maybe twice full on, audio and video. From then on, I probably can do one or the other, but not both at the same time. It heightened since my sensitivity for these things is so heightened that I can't do both at the same time, more than once or twice. So anyway, so this is all from my memory. I see that the truck is just on his right side, and he crosses over sort of in front of that truck. He's a couple of clicks in front of it, and he runs up on the McMichael's truck, and he goes around the right side of the McMichael's truck, and the dad sort of springs up out of the bed of the truck, and he's got what looks like a pistol. And Ahmad wasn't at the front right corner of that truck. Oh gosh, it was so quick. It was so quick. It was like a little holler, and then you see this sort of struggle. After you see the son Travis get out of the truck and open the door and go around the door, and he's got the shotgun. He's holding it in one hand when he gets out, and he goes around. He puts that barrel in the other hand. In that left hand, he sort of turns towards him, and you can tell he's saying something. Now, what I can't really make out, but just like the higher notes, the dad hollering. The struggle is very quick. It's very silent, and you hear what sounds like an elephant gun, a shot. And Ahmad just continues to just try to struggle, try to get away. And I think about in that moment, he only had a split second to decide. These individuals we now know had tried to block him off earlier on, and he went in a different direction. So now they're sort of corralling him. And he's got to make a decision. Do I run and risk getting shot in the back, or do I try to get this gun away from this guy and keep him from shooting at me or pointing it at me, And it just happens so fast. And then there's another shot that rings out that's like an elephant gun, and you can see just the slightest hesitation in Ahmad's body. And it's still, there's this wrestling, and a third shot rings out, and you see Travis McMichael stand back from Ahmad's body, almost in amazement, like waiting for the deer to drop. You know what I mean? And Ahmad tries to then run on. He takes one and a half, maybe two steps, and he falls dead. This is a shotgun that he shot with. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. It's a terrible last few moments of life. At least the deer doesn't see it coming. But to struggle for your life in such a way, I mean, in moments he was gone, and Travis McMichael just stood over him. Dad was still in the bed of the truck. Camera goes off. We find out that there was a neighbor there who had seen who recorded everything. He was friends of the McMichaels. Again, they weren't charged. I mean, it was many days before they were finally charged. State of Georgia had 20,000 different reasons why they needed to take their time. They needed to investigate. Just hundreds and thousands of tweets to the governor's office and the GBI, that's Georgia Bureau of Investigations. People still hemming and hawing. Same thing they're doing with the Floyd case. We've just got to be really clear. We want to make sure, nobody makes sure that they're actually harassing or stopping or impeding an actual criminal. Right? No one takes a moment and investigates whether it was a fake $20 bill. Do you have that $20 bill? Do they test it? Sir, do you know anything about this $20 bill? Where's all this conversation? Where are all these steps of investigation before you make an arrest, before you handcuff him if he ran off. It's a fake $20 bill. Obviously, if the individual thought that he gave them a fake $20 bill, I don't know. Did they want their product back? At the most, he should have been fined, given a citation to show up in court. I mean, but when it comes to investigating them, and when it comes to investigating these behaviors, then we must be, baby step. We must be very thorough, take our time, please be patient, yada, yada, yada. It's bull crap. It's bull crap. So, yeah, I was outraged. I mean, how dare you? You're not even a police officer. How dare you? How dare you? It would have been wrong for you to hold him and detain him and question him without a gun, let alone with a firearm. You and your daddy got y'all guns. You and your daddy got y'all guns cocked. I mean, now we find out that when outside of the fact that the McMichael sister, took a picture of the body, and I've seen the photos of them with wild boar dead that they've shot and killed, their prize kill there, and deer and that type of thing. This is how they viewed Ahmaud. He was an animal to be stalked and to be killed. I'm telling you, I would be extremely surprised if there's not a picture with them standing around the body like he's a prize boar. Shot in the hunt. I would not be surprised at all. At all. If there's not a photo out there of that. Definitely. Okay. But we know that the McMichael's sister, did take a picture of the body and posted it. You tell me why that's not a crime. You tell me why that's not illegal. You tell me why she's not being investigated. And I don't know that she isn't. I'm just saying. Where's the outrage? I mean, we picking people's past apart. We picking their behaviors apart. Come on, let's do it. Right? Of course, we didn't have any video in the Breonna Taylor situation. But, to hear her fiance or boyfriend on the 911 call. I mean, 1 a.m, you're asleep. The girl worked hard. Looked like she had several jobs and she was going to school. Okay, EMT job. I think she was as nursing, doing some nursing, and she was going to school for nursing. And so I'm sure she was knocked out. I'm sure as soon as her head hit the pillow, she was knocked out. Sleep, man. Deep sleep by 1 o'clock. And no sooner than you wake, in the same moment that you wake, you die. Because there are several individuals who have executed a no-knock warrant and come in guns a-blazing. Guns a-blazing. You don't know if there's children in the home. You don't know if there's elderly in the home. You don't know if you have walked into an all-night daycare. You have no idea. The person that you're looking for is already in jail. Now, one of y'all may not have known that. But all of y'all police chief, the person that signed the warrant, the people back at the desk that's moving all the paperwork around, nobody knew, nobody said anything. What's the walkie-talkies for? What's them little boxes on y'all's shoulder that y'all always talking into for? That's what I'd like to know. But we like to take our time to investigate, don't we? We like to take our time to investigate. No sooner than that girl woke, she died. She didn't even have time to say, what's going on here? Or come wake up startled or any of that. No sooner than she woke, she died. Snuffed out. 8 times she was shot. 8 times. So you're not shooting so you can get low and get behind the corner and announce yourself. You're not doing that. You just unloading. You just unfreaking loading. I don't know how the boyfriend didn't get shot, except He was shooting himself, thinking someone was breaking into the home unannounced. Kicked the door in. They're not talking a lot about it. They're saying it's under investigation. If I'm not mistaken, the police officers are just on administrative leave, which means they're still getting paid. But we don't have a video. But I think about her. I think about her. I think about her. I think about her. To not even have an opportunity to wake. Not given the opportunity to get your bearings, to answer questions, to clear things up. Just dead. It's understood. You don't matter. You don't count. And we're not accountable for that. We're not accountable for making those rash decisions. That's what they're saying. This is what law enforcement is saying. We're not accountable. We're frightened. We're afraid. This job is hard. People don't respect us, and we're not accountable. Just whine. When you hold all the power. I mean, I look at Botham John. You know, the woman, she was convicted, I think, 10 years, given a Bible and a hug and some forgiveness. And she's appealing. She said she'd rather trade places with him when she was on the stand with that ugly face cry. I should be where he is and he should be where I am. But she's appealing it. What are you appealing? What are you appealing? You know you were in the wrong. What are you appealing? I don't get it. You see? This is what makes statements like what Terry Crews said so egregious. This is what makes commentary like what Candace Owens is spewing about George Floyd so egregious, so horrifying, so unthinkable. I mean, you know, we've got to care. We've got to care. We've got to involve ourselves. I think about George Floyd. I saw the George Floyd video again. I only watched it once with audio and visual, and then I heard the audio without the visual, and then from then on, I of course they kept playing the visual. I would always mute the screen, but I heard the name floating around Twitter, you know, and it just started picking up. Like it was just like every post was about George, and so I says, let me go out here and see what's going on. I go out and I look at pull the video up, and he's on the ground. And the police are there, and you can hear people weighing in. And at this time, the Asian police officer was standing probably about 3 or 4 feet in front of the police vehicle. And you can only see George's shoulders, his head. Of course, his face was turned towards the curb, the police car, and the crowd. And you can see Chauvin's knee and his foot. His foot is moving. His hands are in his pockets. And you can just feel the escalation of the crowd, like the tone in the crowd begin to escalate. You can see in the background someone was crying and being like ushered off, like a couple, like the woman was crying and you could see someone trying to kind of usher her off, but you can see she's visibly crying because they've been pleading with the officers to get off of him because right in front of our eyes, he's dying. Now, mind you, Caucasians being of a lighter skin tone, you can see when they go blue, you know, you can see that there's a lack of oxygen. I can see that George is going blue because his face is getting darker and darker. I can see that his shoulders are clearly a different color from his face. At the same time, he's saying please. And the word please now, when I hear it, sort of cuts through me like butter. You know, it's almost a word I just don't want to use anymore. Something that is considered polite now sounds like begging to me. I only say this because I haven't spoken out, you know, and it affects us all differently, right? Like everything that's going on, the pandemic, the protests, all of these deaths, it affects us differently. But, you know, the way my brain starts to unpack things, and it just can become very acute. It can become very, I guess, finite, or I don't know. It can become very acute. So I can remember please, please, you know, and then he gives this grunt, this, and it just chills went through me. Chills just went through me because I knew what that was, you know. I had seen him try to pull little breaths. Now, if any of you guys are familiar with what constriction is, think about a boa constrictor, an anaconda. These are snakes that don't bite to kill, but constrict to kill. In other words, let's say, will catch a little baby deer. It's quick, you know, and wrap them up quick. And the baby deer may still be breathing. In and out, in and out, in and out. But every time he lets out air, the constrictor constricts. Okay? So he's never able to pull in air. He's only able to let out air. He's not able to pull air in. He may have air already in his lungs, and he pushes a little bit out, you know, in an attempt maybe to save his life. This is what I'm seeing with George. Little bits of air. At the same time, his body is tight. My mom and dad used to wrestle all the time around the house. And, you know, they would clear out it's so weird, I know. They would clear out the furniture in the living room, you know, push everything back to the wall, and they would wrestle. This would be like after my dad got home from work and showered and all that. They were like waiting for the food to cool off or something. And they would wrestle. And all the kids would jump in too and pile on and all of that. And so, you know what, just from that little bit, I know what it's like to have a person on top of you, on top of your body. But to have 3 individuals who probably easily weighed 180, 190, 200, 210. I mean, you know, men's weight is hard to judge. But yeah, on your diaphragm. Now, remind you, the rib cage, the lungs are just underneath the rib cage, which is sometimes when people crack a rib or break a rib, you know, thank God they don't puncture a lung, because the lungs are right there. Your rib cage sort of protects your lung, your chest cavity, right? And so the lungs are able normally to expand a little bit. They don't necessarily affect the rib cage. The rib cage has a flexible bit of sinew there that allows it to sort of expand, you know, with a large amount of air, or just slight swelling, you know, or expansion. But if you guys swim at all, you know the best way to go to the bottom is to release all the air out of your lungs and swim down, right? Like, so releasing all of the air out of your lungs sort of decompresses everything. And so that grunt, in that moment, I thought, that's the last of his air. That's the last of his air. Moments later, this man is dead. Stop fighting, stop struggling. If you've ever slept with someone or had someone, you cuddled with and they went to sleep, the moment they were sleep. Now, I'm not talking about laying there pretending to be asleep or watching TV. Like, your body sort of holds itself up in a way that you're not really even aware of. But when you go off to sleep, I'm talking about sleep, you can feel their body get heavy. You can feel their arm get heavy, their head get heavy. You can feel when the body has just relaxed all movement, relaxed all sort of, I don't want to say life, but it's completely relaxed. And so once that air left his lungs and it was deflated and they were able to push down that much further, he was never able to pull air back in. Not through his throat. Even if he was getting the smallest amount of air, there was nowhere for it to go, because you're compressing his lungs, his ability to expand and despand his lungs. You're killing him. The look on that police officer's face was so wicked. It was so wicked for you to shake your foot. You shaking your foot means that all of the pressure has to be on the knee point. But the pleas from the crowd, nothing moved the evil in this man, in this Chauvin man. Nothing moved his evil. It seemed the pleas and the begging of the crowd and even of George Floyd itself was like food. It was giving him delight. It was orgasmic for him. We now know that the other two officers that were on top of George were only on the job for 4 days. They were rookies. We now know that Chauvin had a record of 16 to 18 counts on his police record, on his employment record of infractions as a police officer. Why would you even put rookies up under this fool to learn? Why would you give two impressionable officers up under? You see what I'm saying? Now, people have a problem with George Floyd being the face of this thing, but in the midst of it, it has exposed, it has uncovered not just the proverbial edges of injustice, but it has pulled the rock all the way back off. The light is showing, and it is full of maggots and infection and oppression and supremacy and just hidden agendas. Like, it has uncovered so much. Just think about how many of your celebrities, your faves, you look at now with a little less gleam in your eyes. You realize that they're actually feckless fence riders. Why would you put two rookies up under this man? You would put two rookies up under, first of all, a training officer, an officer that has a stellar record, that could embody and impart all of the values of the department. Well, let's say if the department had values. You see? This is what I'm talking about with uncovering. Oh yes, this thing goes deep. Keep picking. And you will continue to find maggots. You will continue to find decomposition, you will continue to find this thing fester and fester and fester. We must cut the wound out. We have to. We must defund the police departments. People are thinking, you defund the police departments or the police force or law enforcement, and does that mean when you call for police they won't come? Well, listen. Forrest Rocks put a tweet out there, and she was saying she wasn't sure how she felt about it, and I said, hey, listen, money talks. Period. We need to pull all funding, all of our tax dollars out of any branch of government that does not serve us. Any state office or agency that does not serve us. It's we the people. It's we the people. Okay? And that means all people. We must have reform when it comes to calling and doing these false police reports. I mean, Mayor, is it Governor? I think it's Governor Cuomo. I get him and de Blasio mixed up sometimes, their offices mixed up, but not the person, the office, but naming it the Amy Cooper law. Like, come on. Name it what it is. Name it what it is. Unlawful Reporting Act. Unlawful Reporting Act. That's what it is. You're in the act of unlawfully reporting a crime, of falsely reporting a crime. Okay? And if you want to throw intent in there, I'm okay with signing that bill too. I'm okay with voting on that too. Because her intent was to get that man, at the very least, mollywopped. And she probably would have stood there and watched. With a dead dog. Because gosh knows she was strangling the life out of that poor dog. I mean, the dog was almost going to bite her to save its own life. You so deep into white supremacy, you don't even know that you're strangling your own dog. Anyway, I don't know why he would name it that law. It doesn't seem, it kind of reeks a little bit of propaganda. But call it what it is. Let's just start calling it what it is. It's racist. It's white supremacy. It's unjust. It's unlawful. It's against the Constitution. It's unconstitutional. It's treason. It's unethical. It's immoral. Call it what it is. Let's just say it. Let's just release it. Let's just say it. And in the midst of all of that, we're dealing with the pandemic. It's been a tough couple of months. I want us to continue protesting. I want us to continue speaking out. I want us not to give up. Unfortunately, I think in the state of Georgia, if you were not able to vote in the primary, you're not able to vote in November. I don't know how true that is. I pray that that's not true because it's 8 p.m. The polls have been closed. Traditionally, they close at 7 p.m. I don't know if they extended the hours given everything that was going on. But I really hope and pray people that turned away will come back. Or who walked away because of the extremely long lines, they had to get to work, so on and so forth. I pray they come back. I pray they stand and stay and vote. These are perilous times that we're living in. They are unprecedented times. And now is the time for us to really, really get serious. I know. It's a lot. It's heavy. It is overwhelming. It makes you anxious. It makes you nervous. I'm acutely aware of the fact that I'm clenching my jaws a lot more. I mean, it's not so bad at home. I don't think I really do it here at the house, but I go into the store like I am a a knot. I'm clenching my teeth. I'm anxious. I have my mask on. I'm sure underneath that mask there's a scowl of some sort. I am a person that doesn't meet strangers. I talk to everybody. I chat it up. I answer questions. I notice people need help. I'm helping. I love to help the elderly and that type of thing. Um, I don't know. I hope that person isn't gone. She's just not able to matriculate amongst the people right now. I am on high alert. I look at everybody who doesn't have a mask like they nasty, like they trying to get me sick. I really, and I'm just praying about it, but I, I just don't have it for white folks. I don't. I don't. I'm grateful to have the mask because you don't really have to speak to people with the mask on. You see people kind of like, you can tell with their eyes they're smiling, or some people will nod their head. And I'm just giving nothing. Like, I'm giving nothing. I'm giving dead behind the eyes. You know what I mean? I'm giving dead behind the eyes. Like, I'm not able to muster up empathy or kindness or compassion for people. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to become that jaded person. I don't want to become a hermit. I don't want to become a recluse. I have a lot to offer the world. But right now, man, I am happiest at home trolling these white supremacists and just gaining as much knowledge as I possibly can about what's going on out there and how I can maneuver through it, how I can protect my family, how I can be prepared for what's to come. Because I saw on Beautiful Souls post on Twitter, if you guys aren't following Beautiful Soul Speaks on Twitter, please do that. She just drops a lot of information out there on Twitter. And also follow me. It is IJS, the letter I, the letter J, the letter S, 482 on Twitter. But Beautiful Souls put out there, her handle is at I am Beautiful Soul SOL on Twitter. But she put out there that we were in a recession, in the article, and it just doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. I don't know why people are shopping for clothes and shoes and handbags. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you putting your money in these things that mean nothing? If we go into a situation like The Walking Dead, like, what good is your handbag? I mean, I could see a solid crossbody, but what good is all your handbags? What good are all your shoes? Like, small appliances like choppers I'm buying, things to keep knives sharpened, things that I can freeze, things that I can, parboil and then put in the freezer, fresh fruits and vegetables. That's what I'm going out for, leaving out the house for. I have minimized my meat eating. I am doing as little of that as possible. I make sure my family has good sources of protein. I've introduced alternate sources of protein for myself. Just trying to get prepared. Just trying to get prepared for lean times. Just trying to get prepared for some things that are inevitable. Gas is really low right now, but people aren't really traveling like that. Don't get me wrong, they out there, they all over the city. They at every stoplight, 20 and 30 of them. Car, like, I'm just like, it's more people on the road, at 10 in the morning. Like, it's been that way for a while, even before the pandemic, but it's just thick. It's heavy out there. There's no aisle that you can go down that there's not another person on, or 2 or 3 people. And if you got 4 people on the aisle, you probably got 2 of those people that don't have a mask on. And just, I just look at them like they are the dirtiest thing I have ever seen. That's how I look at people without masks. I look at them like they don't care. Like they trying to get people sick, or they trying to get sick. I think of them as less than. I don't mind telling you that. I don't mind telling you that. Yeah. It's just crazy. You don't want to become jaded, but it's inevitable. Yeah, it's inevitable. I mean, I've just become cynical. I've become cynical. Like I said, I'm just saying it. I'm just speaking on it, how I feel about it. When I saw that video of that 75-year-old man being pushed to the ground, again, it happened so fast. I'm like, the way they stepped over him, they might as well just kept clubbing him like a baby seal. Yeah, like a shark they had pulled out of the water. Just club him to death, and keep moving. Yeah, you push him down. His head is bleeding. Y'all can see the blood. Y'all can see the blood, and y'all keep walking. Man in critical condition. And then you got the head of the Buffalo Police Department. I believe one of the city officials, either the governor, spoke out, the mayor. I can't remember which one. In defense of it, like it wasn't that big of a deal. I'm just like, well, let me push you down hard on the ground and bust the back of your head open with blood bleeding coming from your ears. Let me do you like that. If it's no big deal, shake it off. Get up and shake it off, sir. Huh? Run it off. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But, again, be prepared. I like what Killer Mike said. It was a little bit of grandstanding that Keisha Lance Bottoms was doing it when the Atlanta protesters first came out, because it was a lot of looting there. And she wanted everybody to go home, and she had brought some, what she thought was heavy hitters, which was T.I. and Killer Mike. We're not even going to talk about what T.I. said. It was so, my dog ate my homework, almost spitball that type bull crap. No thought process went into it at all. But Killer Mike, you can tell that he had been having some conversations with himself and others, and he had a very emotional stance, and he said something that I said I really, really liked, which was plot, plan, strategize, and organize. And that is been my mantra ever since I heard it. Plot, plan, strategize, and organize has been my mantra. We definitely need to be tidying up those things, those loose ends, those loose bills, things that you may need in the foreseeable future. I'm not saying pay your car off. I'm saying right now you need your vehicle, so stay up on that. Get involved with any type of COVID relief. Now, for me personally, I've not chosen to push payments to the end. I don't want to have an extra payment. I don't want to have a balloon payment. So if they're not forgiving, then I'm just going to power through until I can power through and I actually need some type of forgiveness for a bill I can't pay or something like that. But, in terms of plotting and planning for the future, what to do if, what happens if. I have encouraged all of my family members, all of your emergency contacts, which is us, but all of your accounts and passwords and all of that stuff, and the accounts that you want people to know about in case you're in a position where you can't pay your household bills and you got the money but you need those bills paid. You want to have a list of those services that you're using written down. And there's a way to store them and have them so that your family members or a trusted family member can know where they are and can sort of help manage your immediate accounts until you can recover from something like COVID, or recover from things that are happening government wise that is not benefiting us as middle class. Okay, which is uh, a lot of the laws and stuff they have in place now, where things you could do before, you can't do anymore, and you're not even aware of them. So, um, plot, plan, strategize. Just strategize about how you will survive after jobs are gone, after food is scarce. If it gets to that point, I mean, there's scarce, and then there's you can only buy a pack of chicken, and for a lot of people, that's scarce, especially if they got a lot of mouths to feed. But just planning on one, preparing smaller portions. Two, preparing just enough. It is better to prepare too much and freeze half of it, or prepare just enough and someone has to eat you know a hot dog instead of a chicken leg, because we all out of chicken legs right now. And then you cook again for the next few days. That's, to me, a great strategy, because you're keeping down that waste. And strategize about how you're spending your money. If you're still spending your money on these frivolous things, clothes, shoes, um, you know, large dinners, uh, these type of things, you need to just really cut back on all of these extra amenities. Uh, I see where stores are having tremendous sales. Bath and Body Works is going into their semi-annual. I went and dug up all that Christmas Bath and Body Works stuff I had. My mom had boxes and boxes of Bath and Body Works crap. And I loaded up, and I sent my aunt home with a bag. And I'm not buying nothing. I don't need nothing. You know what I'm saying? I do not. Things I need, I go ahead and purchase. I just upgraded my e-file. You guys know I do my own nails. I don't understand why people are going into the nail salon to get their nails done. You've lived for 3 months without stilettos. What is the point in you having them now? Put you some press-ons for your videos if you're doing videos. You're not going out. Just paint your nails like we used to do back in the day. I remember back in the day we would watch Soul Train, and we would paint our nails, we would paint our toes, we would pin our hair up, wash it or give each other a relaxer. You know what I'm saying? Stop putting your money into this economy. Stop doing it. I'm telling you. If it don't benefit you, don't put it in the economy. If I've got to buy a mask, I'm going to buy it from a black-owned business. If I've got to buy a t-shirt that has a slogan on it that I'm going to wear to peacefully protest in my front yard, I'm buying it from a black-owned business. Okay? Other than that, I'm not paying for nothing extra. I'm not doing it. I cut down a lot on subscriptions, on video subscriptions, streaming service subscriptions, and that's how I live off streaming services, because I don't have cable. But thank goodness for a lot of my services I'm grandfathered in, and so I have a bare minimum rate, and I execute patience, man. If I can't stream it live as it airs, I'll watch it the next day. I'll watch it at 12 midnight when it's on demand. It don't matter to me. But I'm not putting any more money into unnecessary things. I've got to have food. I've got to have gas. I've got to have medical supplies. But all this other stuff y'all talking about, creams and potions and lipsticks and eyelashes and all of this other stuff, I got it. I got plenty of it. If I got to have it, I'm going to get it for the bare minimum. So strategize and organize. Just get organized. Get organized about how are you going to move when voting comes in November, who you're going to vote for. Get familiar. I'm telling you. Start Googling laws in your state. See if your state has a hate crime law. See if there's someone working on that law. Just have these conversations. That's one of the reasons why Beautiful Soul Speaks is such a great resource. And I was blessed the day that I found her channel, because she's one of the people that got me charged up for political commentary and just being more involved politically. And boy, was that Pandora's box, baby, because I be in her live giving this administration the business. Okay, the business. Okay. But just stay informed about what's going on in your state. But at the same time, no one's coming to save you, Carol Ann. Okay? If Beautiful Soul don't never come back online, you need to be informed. You need to make sure you are informed so you can organize how you're going to move, how you're going to save your money, how you're going to move your money around, how you're going to invest your money. What's going to happen if you get sick? Do you know? Are you aware that the numbers have gone up since the country is open back up? They're spiking. They're spiking now. It takes about 7 to 14 days, but we're seeing the spike now. You know, some 2 weeks out now, we're seeing the spike in the numbers. But you see people everywhere without masks. You may, like I said, if you see 25 people, probably 6 of those people won't have masks. And I think that's a huge number. That's a huge number. It's over a quarter. It's a huge number. So, yeah. Plot, plan, strategize, organize. You know, and at the same time, continue to speak out. Continue to speak out. I wouldn't even get into a conversation with somebody if I didn't think I could talk about it. The minute they said a word, I would walk off. I would go on about my business. I wouldn't explain myself. None of that. I'd just walk off. Make what you will of it. If I can't talk about it, if I can't be honest about it, if I can't be clear about it, even in conversation, I'm not talking about yelling and screaming at people. I'm just saying, if I can't talk about it, don't even bring it up. Don't even bring it up. I'm no longer explaining why. I'm no longer explaining what injustice is. I'm no longer explaining what it's like to be black. I'm not saying don't have conversations, but don't come in with me with the dumb questions. Can you just help me understand? No, you're not clear now. What's going on? You're not clear. You don't see it. I can't help you. I cannot help you. If you can't look at that video and see it, if you block out George's face and body and just look at Chauvin's face, knowing what's happening, just focus on his face, knowing what is happening underneath there. There's something missing in you. You can see it, the wickedness, and it's time for us to start railing against it, rebelling against it, speaking out against it, being unapologetic about our disgust of it. For 14 days now, the protests have been going on, and I pray for each and every peaceful protester. I do. I pray for each and every person out there who has a good heart and good intentions, that they wouldn't get swept up in the wickedness. I pray for the police department as well, for the law enforcement. I pray that the good ones speak up. I pray that the bad ones are ashamed. I pray that they fall away by any means necessary. I pray that they fall away. We don't need that in law enforcement. We do need more community policing. We don't need it. You know, and backgrounds need to be combed through. There needs to be a complete audit of files, of actions, how those actions were rectified, how the individual was held accountable, how many infractions after the first one were they escalating. There needs to be a complete audit. There needs to be a complete audit. And this is what makes them mad, because you want to continue to pull the covers back. You want to continue to shine a light in the darkest of places where they have been allowed to run amok. Now we're fine toothing it. We're putting a strong eye, an acute eye on each and every little detail, and it is teeing them off. It is pissing them off. There's absolutely no way to avoid a measure of what's the word I'm looking for? Someone's got to suffer. Someone's got to suffer. I saw where there was a police officer. I don't know if he was over Buffalo. I just saw the video. I didn't even read the caption really good. But anyway, the video was him talking about over the last few weeks, he saw how the police department has been disrespected and given a bad name and made to feel ashamed of their jobs. Listen. Your actions did all that, sir. Okay? When. Little baby's got a boo-boo. Okay? If you've ever worked alongside somebody you knew had a proven record of misconduct, but you went on about your business because it wasn't none of your business. If you've ever listened to racially insensitive jokes, racist jokes and comments about individuals and people, whether on the police force or in the civilian life, and you said nothing, okay? If you've ever turned a back while a police officer you're working with, a coworker, is doing some misconduct, participating in misconduct, in criminal activity, did you take a mic on them? Did you call out to shame them? Then sit down, sir. Sit down. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear that. This lets me know, okay, that the dog that we're hitting is hollering. Every time this dog hollers, we know we've hit on something. And we need to continue hitting. We need to continue poking. We need to continue making them uncomfortable at every stance. And when I say them, I mean social injustice. Those who commit social and racial injustice. Those who are racist. Those who insist on being in charge of our bodies, of where we live, of where we walk, of where we breathe. No authority whatsoever. But definitely, we need to dismantle this law enforcement system that we have in place, because they have gone unchecked, okay? And they have been held unaccountable. They stand unaccountable for their actions. And enough is enough. Enough is enough. But those are my thoughts that of what's going on. I just kind of wanted you guys to know where I am in this whole spectrum. I'm out there. I am, like I said, signing petitions and voting for sure, making myself aware of the laws in my state, the laws that are on the books. I am constantly tweeting and Instagramming with Stacey Abrams and Keisha Lance Bottoms. Like, I'm not letting up. I'm not letting up on Brian Kemp. I'm not letting up on, these legislators that are here in my state, because this is where I can make a difference. So I've just chosen to educate myself and Stay prayed up, man. Stay prayed up. Every day is something new, right? Every day is something new. Anyway, you guys, thanks so much for giving me your time and your ear. I really appreciate it. I know it wasn't with the same, jovial demeanor that I normally have, but these are, again, are perilous times. The whole earth is groaning. To me, this seems like the hottest summer, spring that I can remember in a long time, where the heat is just sitting in the air. Georgia gets hot, but man, it is muggy. It is hot. It's unseasonably hot. I'm telling you, like it's not cooling off even at night, and that's kind of unusual for Georgia. It's hot in the shades. You know what I mean? We just went through a lunar eclipse, strawberry moon. Like I said, there's still fires amidst the pandemic and racial unrest and social unrest. There's still fires. There's still earthquakes. There's still tsunamis. There's still tornadoes. There's still hurricanes. There's still, like I said, the whole earth is groaning. It's groaning. Something's gonna give. Something's gonna snap. Something's gonna break. A crater's gonna open up somewhere. And we are all going to forever be changed. I believe that. I really, really believe that. And whether that crater is literal or metaphorical, something is happening in this earth, honeybees. Something. There's a shifting taking place. There's a shifting. And I don't know if it's like what the Bible says, that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. And, it would be glorious. It would be glorious. But plot, plan, strategize, and organize. That way, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, honeybees. You ain't got to get ready. Start stockpiling on your holistic natural remedies. Your natural remedies, your natural antibiotics, your oregano oil, your eucalyptus, your peppermint oil, your tea tree oil. Okay, colloidal silver kills infection. It's a little bit of money. Keep the top on it really tight. Keep it in the refrigerator. Give it a good shake. Take your teaspoon, drop a couple of drops down your nasal passage. I'm no doctor, but I'm just telling you. Be prepared. Be prepared so that you have what you need at your own home. Clean, fresh water, bandages, peanut butter crackers for your car, peanut butter crackers for your home. They last a long time. They are filling. With a couple of sips of water, you can make it to your next rest stop. You know what I'm saying? I know it seems kind of like prepper, like doomsday prepper-ish, but for real though, this is Tuesday. Honestly, Thursday could be really, really drastically different. Could, in the blink of an eye, in a matter of 2 days, we could be set on our ear. Okay? Do you have the phone numbers in your phone written down in case you can't get your phone to work? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Y'all remember when 9/11 happened, all cell service was cut, right? I think landline was cut too, so my point may be moot in terms of having the phone number. But I don't know, man. Just be prepared. Just sit back and look at what you need on an average day, what you need to survive. If you had to make it from your house to, let's say, your friend's house or your mom's house or whatever, if you had to make it from work to home and something happened where you couldn't drive, or how would you get home? Would you know how to get home? Could you walk home? Are you prepared to walk home? Do you have a plan of action for that? We're coming in a time where people are the looting kind of opened my eyes. The people kind of being okay with breaking in and doing stuff. Whether it's to get your toilet paper, your money, your life, your food, the last of your chicken, I don't know. But are you prepared for someone coming in your home, someone forcing their way in? Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared to defend yourself? Are you prepared to defend your home? How far are you willing to go to defend your home? At what point will you bail? Because we may be moving to a place where calling the police is not necessarily a viable option. I'm just saying. Keep your eyes peeled, as my daddy say. Plot, plan, strategize, and organize. Y'all tell me what you think. Put it down below. And until next time, honeybees, I'll holla.